What's going on YouTube? On today's video, I'm going to show you how to install some rock sliders onto your third generation Toyota Tacoma. So here's what I'm currently working with. These are some crappy Tiger Auto step-up bars that I got off of Amazon, and you can see less than 2.5 years after owning them, they are rusted to hell and back. All of the welds are falling apart and rusting. They're a total mess. Both sides look like this. And unfortunately, these just didn't stand up as advertised. They're not sliders, they're just step-up bars. So I went with something a little bit more robust. These Canadians don't mess around with their packaging. All right, slider number one is free of all of the packaging foam. That took me a solid 15 minutes just to unpack that, but I am not upset about that in the least because this thing is in mint perfect condition, probably the same exact way that it left the floor of the welding shop. The company is called Greenlane Offroad. They specialize in aluminum products. While they do not recommend using this for high lift jacking, since it is made of aluminum, you can use it to slide around trees and whatever. I don't really rock crawl, so I don't need something that's going to lift my whole truck. But it will be nice to push off the rogue tree once in a while when we're doing tight trails. So now we got to get that bad boy off and put this one on. So real quick, let's take a look underneath of here, and I'll show you where our step-up bar is mounted to. So there's the first one, you can see right there. These do not mount to the frame. It actually mounts to the cab, yeah, this is the cab mount. And so it's just 3 mounting points, you can see all 3 of them there. So if you are going ahead and installing something like a step-up bar and not a slider, you're gonna use that. For our slider installation, we are actually looking at the frame, which is all of this. Go in back of that a ways. And then up here. There are some painted over little tabs that I believe we're gonna have to use. And there's one of them. They'll blend in depending on how dirty your truck is. And I believe we are actually gonna have to move that brake controller right there. And the slider is gonna kind of go up in there from what I've seen in the directions so far. Alrighty, crappy slider is off. And as you can see, I did it in the most OSHA violating way possible. Be smart, use jack stands or something if you have to remove it. And I'm gonna also use a jack to put that into place. The cool thing is that my new slider is actually lighter than that one because it's made of aluminum. You might say, hey, isn't aluminum wimpy and not that strong? No, the answer is aluminum is actually pretty strong, especially when it's forged and assembled correctly. Next thing we're going to do is take off this plastic frame cover right here. You can see it already kind of moves. You can just get under there with a flathead screwdriver or any tool that'll help you remove that. And then we're going to come over here to this brake controller. You're going to need a 10mm socket for that. And then once we take this off, there's a 12mm holding this to the frame, and this will all get removed. Now once that cover is off, you're going to want to go and hit these 2 12mm bolts to remove this whole thing and just kind of safely let it dangle. And again, to my point about rust and living in the Northeast, you can see underneath that cover just how bad the rust is here on this little doodad holding this thing together. I fluid film my frame every winter. You can actually still kind of see residue from it, and that has helped protect my frame from rust. And if you live in an area like I do where they use road salt, or you're just in a corrosive area, aka the rust belt, it's a good idea to use something like fluid film or wool wax, whatever you prefer. For these, your best bet's going to be an open-ended, box-ended ratchet, to get at these, because that controller thing's kind of in the way. All right, once you've done that, our next step is to come down here to the middle of your frame to orient yourselves. We're right by the exhaust flange, and you're going to want to remove that 14mm cross-member support bolt there, because that's going to be used as a mounting point. And then the next step, once you've done that, come back up to the front, and you'll see there's that big old thing right there. You're going to just take it off with that bolt, and then we're almost good to go and start mounting. Next step, we're going to take this 14mm that we pulled off the cross member bracket, and that's going to be our first mounting point to install these. Now in order to do this, you can use jack stands, or you can get under it if you have a light enough one. Again, because these are aluminum, they're pretty darn light. These weigh about 30 pounds each. They're not heavy. Total shipping weight was 60 pounds. So I should be able to get under here and press this up. You also want to make sure that our little controller bracket here ends up on the outside of the slider when you push it back up there. Let's weasel my way in there. Yeah, this looks safe. OSHA. OSHA loves me. OSHA, oh shit. I'm just gonna stick my finger in there and try and find it. Again, safety first. There it is. Okay. That bolt's on. That bolt was also torqued to HE double hockey sticks and back. Now at this point, don't stand on it yet. We still got to put some more bolts in there. We can get a good look at it on the truck. I think that looks pretty nice. The next part of this is going to be going through and just putting hardware through all of our mounting points here. And then you also want to be sure that as you go ahead and do that, let me roll around this way. You're going to also throw washers on these where they fit. There's, at least with the ones that I got, we have supplied large washers, and then we also have some small ones in that bucket o' hardware. Now once all of your bolts are installed, you're going to go back and just reinstall this in the reverse order that you took it off. So you'll get your 12 mil socket, reinstall our mounting points here, and then put that cover on it. And also don't forget your plastic cover that goes back here on the inside of the frame. Keep that nice and dry, and then you are good to go. So these sliders are on and mounted. Excuse the mess underneath of them. They look pretty damn awesome. They really fit the profile of the truck nicely. They actually don't stick out really all too far. Definitely enough to give me some protection there on that back tire if I was about to run into a tree. And if you can see the profile of that, it does stick out probably about 2 or 3 inches past the door. So that should protect me from any sort of shopping carts at the grocery store. I'm going to go along now and do the driver's side. The process is essentially the same with that. There's another brake controller under there that you'll do, and you just follow the same exact thing that you did. So now over here on the driver's side, you can see I've gone ahead and removed this 12 millimeter bolt right there. And then there's a couple more that you're gonna have to take off. That guy. And then underneath, I've already done it, but I took off my 14 millimeter cross member bolt that attaches right there. And then all of this will be reused. And then you just mount it up the same you did the other side. Up front here, right underneath of that big wire bundle, it's another one of those plastic tabs. Open that up, take the thing off the back here so you can access it just like we did on the other side, and then that's your most forward mounting point. All right, we're now underneath the car, and you are looking at the inside of the frame here. So that thing has the 2 nuts on it on the outside that we just removed, and what's going to happen is you're going to pop out that little clip. You do not replace it. That's going to become a mounting point to put a bolt head. And then the same thing is going to go for the other one. But in order to get this plastic cover off, you have to take this off. All of this is your brake line controls and assembly and such, so be careful when you're doing that. You don't want to crimp those or bend them or anything like that. And so there we have it. Greenlane off-road aluminum sliders. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you guys all on the next.